known as our room, because I'm sitting on our bed because my feet hurt and they're swollen. Being pregnant is very glamorous. It is lovely work. Dip and Dot were exposed to their first real thunderstorm today, and they had a hard time with it. Dot immediately started barking as soon as she heard thunder, and I realized then that she barks when she's scared, so that's good to know. So I reassured her and I gave her a treat. And then we went and sat on our bed and made sure that she knew that the thunder wasn't going to hurt her. But before that happened, she was being extremely aggressive with Dip, which is annoying. She got locked in the bathroom for 10 minutes for that one, but it's going to take some getting used to. They both have a really hard time with the thunder, so one of the other things I learned too, one of the things I noticed on our trip was that Dip responds really well to music. It seems to really calm him down. I don't know if anybody else has this experience with cats, but we were listening to like meditation music with a cat's purring behind it, and he just was, well, he was pretty heavily sedated because he got gabapentin, which is what vets recommend for traveling with pets, and he did great. He was just chilling. We listened to that music for like 7 or 8 hours, and he seemed to do well with it. Hello from Guadalajara, Mexico. Hello, hello, hello. Howdy from Titusville, Florida. Awesome. That's close to where we are. Hope you're enjoying your time there. Hope you enjoyed that thunderstorm we just had. That was quite dramatic. Dip made a point of coming and curling up with me to make sure that everything was okay. He was staring at the window, really concerned about what might happen, who might come in. I was a little concerned when Dot started barking because it seemed like somebody might be outside, which did not make sense to me because we don't live on the first floor. Obviously, that wasn't the case. She was just scared, so here we go. We're next to LOL. It's still rolling in. Yeah, it's really quite a doozy. A lot of thunder in that one, a lot of lightning. But one of the things I've noticed about Florida is that you will get these storms almost every day, which is awesome, but it's kind of challenging to deal with pets with. Like, Dip and Dot both had a hard time with it, but they will get used to it and they'll be okay. Planet Fatness says, yo, Planet Fatness. I'm going to try not to be short of breath today, although I make no guarantees. Still got a baby pushing up on my lungs and down on my bladder, so I got the wonderful combination of symptoms that come from that. I got so much moving and done today. Andy drove himself into work instead of working from home or having me drive him, so he will be very surprised when he gets home and all this stuff's put away and I've sorted through all our clothes and everything, so really looking forward to that. He's playing Dungeons and Dragons tonight, so wish him luck on whatever they do in Dungeons and Dragons. I have no idea, but it sounds like fun, I guess, because he seems to enjoy it. Yeah, I don't know. I'll just let nerds be nerds for sure, but today was kind of hard as far as news goes because the biggest story was Hunter Biden getting charges for a tax evasion, I think it was. He is literally getting the lightest sentence he could possibly get. And somebody was pointing out that Trump predicted this, and I said a naked mole rat could have predicted this. Naked mole rats are blind, I think, and totally deaf, and anyone could have predicted that the president's son would get an extremely easy deal. That's exactly what happened. They did not go after the bribery, they didn't go after the blackmail, none of that stuff. Greetings from North Dakota. Awesome, you're a long way from where we are. Whisper says, hey there, hello everyone. Happy to see you here for sure. I'm afraid this is going to be a lackluster show today because the news wasn't all that exciting. I just was ripping my hair out over the Hunter Biden thing because it's exactly what everyone expected. I mean, the level of corruption is just, it's gross. And someone's pointing out that there's a rapper who's in jail today for the exact same things that Hunter Biden did. And I was like, yeah, it's because he's not fancy. He's not powerful. He doesn't have the influence that Hunter Biden has. Like, we know for a fact that Hunter Biden got a lot of his money for sharing his dad's own influence. So somebody points out, I wonder where the white privilege crowd is. That's a great question. That's a great question. If anybody has privilege, it's Hunter Biden. No, it's not white privilege. It's Democrat privilege. It's a little different. Not a laughing matter in either case. Dip and Dot, here, let me show you guys. Both chilling. There's Dip. Yeah, they're gonna start fighting. It's gonna be great. I can't wait. I'm gonna have to break them up. They're so annoying when they do this. They just don't stop. Well, right now Dip is licking Dot. It's really very charming and cute. Adorable. But soon they'll be fighting and tussling, and then I'll have to break them up because they're very annoying when they do that. They do love to fight, both of them. Get your feet out of his face. Oh my gosh. This is like having two children of different ages. I'm gonna have to smack one of them with a pillow. Oh my gosh, they're so annoying. This is so much easier at Dad's offices, you brats. Stop. You guys are just gonna have to deal with them fighting. Dot likes to growl. Dip likes to grab her with his front feet. They do some WWE stuff like you wouldn't believe. I'm shocked there's not like a metal chair that comes into play. Because Dip will try to body slam her and she'll go up on her back feet. Oh my gosh, ridiculous. Andy says, please retweet. I don't think I can open it right now, but I will as soon as I'm done. Thank you for sharing. Oh my gosh, I look very tired. I hate when I go onto live streams and I'm like, wow, this is really what I look like all day? Goodness gracious. It's especially hard when I'm this close to the camera, which is my phone. I cannot wait to have a studio back together. Can't wait to assemble our dining room table and everything, and I think that will be our next thing that we make happen. So everything that's happening to Hunter Biden is exactly as expected. There is no news there. But there is Dip and Dot. They're the real stars of the show here today. Dip is like, please leave me alone. I'm so tired of your shenanigans. He's like, oh wait, no, I'll bite. Literally, I'll bite you. It's great. They deserve each other 100%. Dot was very out of sorts without Dip. She was barking a lot when we first got her. Our neighbor left us a note. They're like, I have kids. Please try to contain your dog. Keep her quiet in the evening. And I was like, yeah, I'm trying to get her to bark. Sorry. It's working a little too well. But she barks when she's scared. So now that I know that, I'll be able to take better care of her. I'm about to drive to you and bring you a tripod. Don't worry about that. It's just for today. We will have my studio up by tomorrow, I'm sure. In fact, after this, I'm going to go and put together my own little desk. And I'll be able to go from there starting tomorrow. So that'll be nice at least. They are just so cute. Look at them. They're adorable. They love each other. Aww. Don't let them fool you. They're great. They love each other very, very much. They're very sad without each other. Hey, quit biting her face. Stop. If you try to intervene sometimes, Dip will scratch you and Dot will bite you. So it's very exciting. Interfere at your own risk. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to point out today, which was really frustrating, was the fact that the Pentagon made an accounting error that resulted in a $6.2 billion extra in funds to Ukraine. And I just have to say, you know that if you make a mistake on your taxes, they will put you directly in jail. But the Pentagon can make a $6.2 billion accounting error and nothing will happen. It's great. I love it. There's nothing wrong with this. This is completely fair. This is exactly how it's supposed to work. The little man will be held to account, and then anybody who's above a certain level of influence will get away scot-free. We know this is how it works, and it's not fair, and life's not fair. I've been arguing with myself about the idea of teaching our kids that life ain't fair, because it's understandable that there's a degree of righteous indignation when you see stuff like what happened with the Pentagon, and when you see stuff like what happened with Hunter Biden. You have to look at it and say, oh my gosh, that's so unbelievably unfair. How do we keep that from happening again? And sometimes there's nothing you can do. But sometimes, if you make a point of voting for the right people or voting for better people, you can hope that they will make the correct decisions moving forward. Oh my gosh, these two. Ridiculous. Presented without comment. They do this for like hours at a time. Here, Dot, play with your cardboard. Dot loves cardboard. It's her favorite toy. Sometimes they can distract her. Sometimes she's just all in fighting with Dip. So, Dot. Oh my gosh. Can't wait till we add a baby into this mix. That'll be fun. I'm going to need to separate them for when I'm trying to like settle the baby down. Gonna have to figure something out. We're taking Dot to a trainer sometime soon. If you guys have had experience with Barkbusters, let me know. That's who I'm looking at right now, but my mind isn't made up. They are a little bit expensive, although they do have a lifetime guarantee. You can hear Dot growling right now. $6 billion is a drop in the bucket. I want to know about the $2 trillion. Stuart says, Dippin' Dot coins, lovely little creatures. Hope you and Andy are well. I hope you are well, Stuart. I hope you are recovered from whatever you were battling with. For sure. How long ago were you a nurse, Lydia? Do you miss any of it? Pros and cons of being a nurse. I wasn't a nurse. I wasn't an RN. I wasn't even an LPN. I was a nurse aide, which I find to be a wonderful extension of nursing. One of the most trade-oriented nursing abilities that you can have. And the ability to actually work with the patients. I really liked being a nurse aide. It did not pay very well, and the work was backbreaking, but I really loved taking care of old people. I loved being able to meet people from my grandparents' generation. I loved being able to help them with daily tasks. I thought it was really useful for training myself in patience and conveying like a soothing attitude toward them, and always help them feel a little bit better. And I would recommend it to anyone, especially if you are considering going into nursing. You should go in as a nurse aide and find out what it's like and see how much you like it. I actually was going back to school when I was hired with Timcast to be a surgical tech, which would not have made too much money anyway, even after 10 years experience, but would have been very interesting. So being a surgical tech is a little bit like being a mechanic's assistant. So there's Dot barking. Wonderful. She's barking at Dip because Dip got up too high and now she can't pester him, so she's very, very frustrated. So if I'm glad that the great thing about this week in my pregnancy is that now the baby can hear. The baby is being able to hear and get used to all the noises that Dot makes, so the baby will be much less likely to be startled after they're born, and Dot is barking. Even if they're barking right outside the door, hopefully the baby won't be too bothered by it. Two ladies, hi Lids. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining. We're just hanging out, trying to breathe evenly. Can't wait to be sitting in a real chair in a real studio. Hopefully Andy will have the time to put that together, but he's helping his company get their foothold here in Florida, and I'm very glad that's going on now, because we really need Public Square, especially here in Florida. This is such a great place. So friendly to freedom. Somebody recommended I look up whether the county we're in is Republican or not. It is not, but there is a strong minority of independents and Republicans, so I'm not too concerned about the state of the county itself, especially since the state is so red. I feel very strongly about the state of Florida. So far, I've really enjoyed it. One of the things that I was going to say the other day when I was talking about Juneteenth and about how the welfare state has really ruined culture for African American people, was that the people I meet in Florida are so much happier and so much less, they seem so much less angry than the black people who were in New England. And Andy and I were talking about it last night, and he said, why do you think that is? And I said, I think it's because the people in Florida aren't exposed to this ridiculous leftist mindset 24/7. And he's like, why do you think it's so much worse in New England? And I said, well, the people where we were very, very highly educated, which meant they'd been steeped in, CRT all the way through higher education, and they spread it. So even if you personally hadn't gone to these schools, you would still be exposed to people who believed it. And he says, are you connected to the Wi-Fi? Of course. Yes, we do have Wi-Fi. We also have power. We did not move to Cali, Easy Junior. Absolutely not. We would never move to California. We moved to Massachusetts to be near Andy's family. But we escaped, and I'm so glad to be in Florida. We were in California, but Public Square is and was in California. So, Stuart, I hope you are going to be feeling better soon. I hope it's nothing long-lasting, because it seems like you've been struggling with it for quite a while now. And hopefully you'll be able to beat it back. Hopefully you're taking your vitamin C and getting your vitamin D by getting out into the sunlight. And if you're not, hopefully you can take zinc to help your immune system. I don't know what to tell you. That's tough. Okay, so the other thing I saw today was the truly terrible story of the 5 people who are trapped in the submarine. There's a submarine that was going down to look at the Titanic wreckage. And unfortunately, they're getting to experience exactly what happened on the Titanic. Not in a good way, unfortunately. It's really terrible. I can't think of a much worse way to go than being crushed in a little tiny tin can. Terrible stuff. Terrible stuff. So really just keeping them in my thoughts for sure going forward. Anything's possible. They could have a miracle for sure, but that's really a rough situation to be in. But I guess I would just say you have to know that when you take on some of these adventures that there's a possibility that something terrible is going to happen along the way. And I think that's something that everybody who wants to be a crazy, wild, adventurous person needs to keep in mind, because it's no joke. Sometimes these things do happen. So thankfully we live in a day and age where they can send the best after us and try to make sure we're safe. So I know that the Coast Guard is after these guys, and hopefully they'll be able to recognize them. Andy says, top chat shows absolutely nothing for me. I don't know what to tell you because I am in this, I'm in this live stream mode, so I don't know how to change it from top chat to live chat. He says, live chat shows all Godspeed and bless. Thank you very much. Listen, Andy, I hope you all can do something with Alice and Lynn. They moved from Washington to Florida, too. I believe you did some videos with them before. I'm not sure who Lynn is, but if you're talking about Allison Morrow, yes, I did do a video with her, so it's unlikely that we'll be bumping into each other. The other people who moved to Florida recently were Will Chamberlain and his wife, so hopefully we'll be able to see them as well, although they will live like 6 hours away from us, unfortunately. So Florida is such a big state. From top to bottom, it's like an 8-hour drive. So we rolled into Florida at like 3:30 p.m. and we didn't get in until after 9 the first time we came down. So it's really ridiculous. We're 6 hours from the top of Florida. It's no joke. It kind of reminds me of Colorado, but I think it's even longer than Colorado is. Colorado, you can drive for hours and hours and hours and still not be across the state. Same for Wyoming, same for Montana. But yeah, so those are the 3 big pieces of news. The other big piece of news was from Dr. heavy quotation marks, Peter Hotez, who said he was, quote, accosted by a reporter. There is, in fact, photographic evidence of them simply shaking hands, which doesn't seem like an accosting to me. And he seems very pleased to be meeting with this reporter. But CNN reported it as an accosting, so we must only assume that's exactly what happened. And Peter Hotez was in fear of his life for sure. I'm sure, no doubt, because they cared so much about this when it happened to, Brett Kavanaugh. There was a man who was literally arrested near his house with a gun and rope and knives. They cared about it when people camped outside Supreme Court justices' homes and made their lives living nightmares for weeks and months on end after Roe v. Wade was overturned. And suddenly they care about people turning up to people's doorsteps. And it's just such a double standard, but we know this already. It becomes so boring. I'm just glad it's obvious to everybody, and hopefully it's red-pilling some people who are stubbornly asleep, because it's not changing anytime soon. It's not going away. It's not going to get any better. We just need to be aware of it and tell people about it. Andy says, Hotez Jesus. Thank you, but I think he's Jewish, although I appreciate the joke. It's a play on Hotep Jesus. Yeah, so I think that that man is a super fraud. You know what I saw earlier today was this really interesting juxtaposition of RFK Jr. and Joe Rogan standing side by side after the show, like he always does with his guests. And both of them are very healthy looking. They look very fit and trim. They look very, well. And then Peter Hotez and Bill Gates are juxtaposed next to them, and they look like blobs. And Peter Hotez, when he was on Joe Rogan's show, said that the only fix for COVID was to get the vaccine. He completely dismissed the idea of getting active or eating better or trying to make sure that, you were in as fit of shape as possible. And he just looks like a blob of dough, honestly. Dip is now making biscuits on his soft little pillow, so I'm happy that he's calmed down after that thunderstorm and after fighting with Dot, so he's a very soothing presence. Stuart says Peter Hotez is a liar. That's putting it mildly. I think I described him as a misinformationist, and I think that's a great title, and I think I'll be using it more often because he specializes in misinformation. He has absolutely no issue at all. Are you talking about the guest you all had on Timcast IRL? Or H-O-R, Hotep Jesus? Yes, that's the joke that Andy's making. He says Hotez Jesus. Yes, it is close to Hotep. I recognize that. Apparently what Peter Hotez is doing lately is accusing anyone who comes after him of being anti-Semitic, which is absolutely nonsense. And Gad Saad is going after him, who is a Lebanese Jew. And I don't think that's going to work on him. I think that anybody can go after anybody from any nationality, ethnicity, background, orientation. In fact, there's a coalition of, I think they call themselves Jews Against Soros, with the entire predication being that they really don't like George Soros, and it's not because they're anti-Semitic, because they actually are Jewish. Texas Rangers says, hi Lydia and Andy, hello, hello. Whisper says, the skeeters in Florida like me too much. Yeah, me too. We went out for dinner the other night with Andy's company, and holy cow, I was basically eaten alive. It was awful. One of the things I really, really love about our new apartment is that the back patio is fully screened, like top to bottom. There are 0 holes for any bugs to get through, and that means that Dip can go outside and hang out on the back porch, which he loves because this is Florida and it's nice and warm and sunny, so he's constantly out there just sunbathing and just enjoying life. So it's great. The pets are really loving Florida. There are some lizards that I'm sure Dot is going to love chasing. Thankfully, we haven't seen any since we've been out with her, but I see them all over the place out here, and she's going to enjoy them. How are you dealing with Florida heat? I am dealing with the Florida heat by staying inside as much as possible. Deborah says, hello, Lydia. Hello, Deborah. Thank you for joining us, for sure. I appreciate you jumping in. I know this is kind of a lackluster show, but we're having a good time. We're just chilling. We're mocking Peter Hotez and ripping our hair out over the accounting error that led to $6.2 billion being sent to Ukraine on accident, and being annoyed with the double standard that is being set by Hunter Biden versus everybody else. So, good times. I think the Biden family is incredibly corrupt, and I can only hope that there will be some way to hold them accountable for everything they've done, but I'm not holding my breath, unfortunately. I'm just kind of hoping at this point. I think at the end of the day, it's good to come to peace with the way things are, not with the way you wish things were. There's a lot of injustice in the world, and that's why people believe in either karma or hell. Religious people believe in hell. Some people from some religions believe in hell. I don't believe Jews have parallel concept of hell or that kind of eternal judgment. But Christians certainly do. I think that Muslims certainly do as well. And then people who hold no kind of religion at all talk about karma a lot, for sure. Deborah says, I'm an accountant. That wasn't an error. For sure. For sure. I can't imagine overlooking that much money. Absolutely not. Painful13 says, more Florida surprises to come. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing our first alligator. I saw a video today of a bear in Colorado scaling the side of a house to get in. And I asked the question, which is worse, an alligator or a bear? I said, I'm going to have to go with bears, because bears will, for example, climb the side of your house and break in and eat all your baked goods and all this other stuff they're constantly up to. They can climb trees. They can get into your car. They can rip the door off its hinges. Whereas alligators are just like, you probably don't want to have a pet door when there's alligators around if you live on the first floor and other stuff like that. Just have to be, cautious around alligators. But with bears, they've been known to seek out campsites where women are on their period because they detect blood, which is absolutely horrifying to me. I don't know how you would try to avoid a predator like that. That's crazy. So I'm glad to not live around bears anymore. However, I will say I lived in Colorado for 28 years, 29 years, the first 90% of my life, and I never saw a bear at all, not even once. And I know people here in Florida who've lived in Florida for their whole lives and also haven't seen alligators. Not worried about that. Yeah, Painful says bears are worse. Yeah, for sure. Planet Fatness says native Floridans will chase gators away with a frying pan. I saw that video too. I was like, that's amazing. It sounds great because you want to make a big impression on an alligator, right? So what better way to do that than hit him with a freaking, stainless steel pan or cast iron pan and make sure they remember not to attack you. Oh no. Whisper says it was a black bear at the beach in Daytona the other day. I saw that too. There was a baby bear in the water that came swimming up to the beach, and I was like, holy cow. That's wild. First of all, I didn't know the bears were anywhere near Florida like that. Second of all, where was it coming from? Where was it going to? That's nuts. Texas Ranger says all you need is bear spray. I wish that were the case, but I'm pretty sure that in some instances that is not enough. Ize Jr. says get a gun. Yes, but you have to be a really good shot with a gun. With a frying pan, you have like a really big blunt object that you're using to threaten them with. To me, that seems like a better course of action, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I did see the swimming bear at the beach in Daytona. That's crazy. Native Floridians seem like crazy people. Sarenko says, I mean, I misplaced $62 billion all the time. I think it was 6.2 billion, not 62 billion. I could be wrong, but from my understanding, it was just 6.2. Stuart says, welcome to the Hotez, California. Many jokes that could be made about Peter Hotez's last name. I like the idea of Hotez, California, because you can check out anytime, but you literally can't leave. Like the whole concept of lockdowns, I don't think we're ever getting out of that. One of the things that I've been saying that people don't agree with me on, and I don't care, is that if Trump gets back in office, we will run the risk of being locked down again and again because of how highly he regarded Anthony Fauci. And I keep reminding people that he gave Anthony Fauci an award in his last days in office. He had no change of heart. Anthony Fauci talked openly about how all the recommendations he made to Trump were taken at face value and applied as intended. And if you don't like Fauci, you shouldn't also like Trump at this point because he never walked back his position on Anthony Fauci. And to me, it's just incredible that people would be okay with Trump not disavowing Fauci altogether. Like, he's never been asked to do that. I don't know if you guys watched Trump on Bret Baier. I have to agree with Ben Shapiro that being Donald Trump's lawyer is probably one of the hardest jobs on earth. I can't imagine sitting there and watching my client absolutely give the prosecution so much evidence, talking about how he actually did everything they're accusing him of doing, and he's like, yeah, but it's fine. Like, well, you might think that, but I don't think the prosecution thinks that. I guess we'll see what happens. As far as I'm concerned, we are living in God's most entertaining timeline. Easy Jr. says that's a big L about Trump. He gives in on big issues like the bump stock ban and the vaccine. Yeah, so he was the one who said, take the guns first, worry about the constitutionality later. Really don't like that at all. That's the wrong way to go about that. If you're trying to push gun safety, you certainly don't say it that way, and you certainly don't push it that way. I've never liked that about him, but that's what happens when you get somebody who was a Democrat for their whole life, who then just turns around and is like, oh yeah, I'm a Republican now, here's what we're going to do. I don't like that. I do have a bunch of reservations about Trump going into 2024. I have them pinned at the top of my Twitter timeline. If you don't follow me over there, go do that now. I'm bordering on 190,000 followers, and I have no idea why. I don't think I tweet that great of stuff, but I do tweet the most current news I find, and I give little snippets of my own commentary as I go over there. I think I'm going to wrap it here because I feel like I've just run a marathon. I'm very proud of myself for making it this far. But thank you guys all for joining me and weighing in on whether bears or alligators are more threatening. For sure. Yeah, I just don't know what's going to happen. But it is never dull, right? Never a dull moment. You know, the prosecution of Trump is clearly political. We know that, but I really wish that he were much more cautious with what he says and does, because if you sense that the deep state is after you, you should do everything in your power to try to keep yourself above their scrutiny, right? You should try to be above reproach, and he's not even trying at this point. Like, that interview with Bret Baier was crazy. I was just like shaking my head the entire time, but thank you guys all for joining me. I'm going to let you go now. We're at about half an hour. Planet Fatness says, take care of yourself. I will do so. Thank you so much for your concern. Thanks, Andy and Lydia. Thanks, Painful. Thanks, you all. Take care, everyone. Take care, Stuart, for sure. Get to feeling a lot better. Get to healing up. Take all your vitamins and make sure you are well. All right, you guys. I will see you all tomorrow. Same time, similar place. Probably not in our bedroom. Until next time. Bye, guys.